We are Pro Cannabis Media.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of In the Weeds with Jimmy Young, our regular weekly podcast here at Pro Cannabis Media. But this is the unveiling of a brand new set that we're going to be using multiple different ways as we move forward in our content production. And joining me to kind of on its virgin journey, if you will, is Mike Corso, the CEO of Ruvio, a marketing expert in the cannabis space. And Mike comes from the New York area. Mike, thank you so much for joining us. And this is our second go round. So I look forward to another very educational conversation about the challenges of marketing in the cannabis industry and cannabis industry's marketing challenges, because there are a lot of rules and a lot of regulations, like it wasn't easy enough or hard enough, if you will, to get into this business. So Mike, thank you again for joining us, and tell us a little bit about the challenges that the cannabis industry faces when it comes to marketing and the regulations that kind of restrict them.
Yeah. So first of all, thanks again for having me, Jimmy. You know, I love talking to you, and I look forward to in the future when we can say, hey, it's number 100 that we've done together. So let's keep it up. But as far as challenges, you know, one of the things we're not going to talk about too much today are challenges, because we're talking about SEO primarily. And SEO is, you know, the rules apply across industries, and there aren't restrictions that you have, say, in paid advertising. So restrictions in terms of advertising cannabis or CBD are tough on, say, if you want to advertise on Google or Facebook, you've got to do it in ways where you're not mentioning the name of the product, and you're just talking about, say, the benefits or features of a product, like it reduces anxiety or pain or whatever. And it's really not, for a marketer, it's not the most fun thing to do, because you're dancing around something. And we like to work with data. We like to work with specific words that drive people and get to their emotions to get them to do something. So when you can't say the name of the product, yes, that's tough. But there are things that dispensaries are doing in local markets where they can do advertising, but again, they just can't speak specifically to marijuana or cannabis. Hemp, you know, they can get away with hemp, but more it's about lifestyle type wording. So
and wellness and the wellness world,
yeah,
right. And there can't be a call to action. That's probably the biggest restrictive regulation. You can't say, hey, come on down and buy today.
Right.
Even though we all know that's the goal of anyone who is marketing or telling their own story. And just in case no one understands what SEO stands for, that is search engine optimization.
Right.
This is how to take advantage of the Googles of the world, YouTube being the world's second largest search engine, right?
Okay.
So there's all sorts of challenges built in. I know you've got some prepared documents and some slides you want to share. So I'm going to kind of turn it over to you to kind of walk us through this and give us an education about that.
Sure thing. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm glad you talked about what what SEO stands for, because that's the first thing we're going to get into in this 30 minutes. Again, we're talking cannabis SEO in 30 minutes. Doesn't mean you can do SEO in 30 minutes, just means that's all we're talking for today. So we're going to talk about what is SEO, the fundamentals, the importance of link building, and what you should be doing now. I'm not going to get into the weeds of SEO. Thank you for letting me use that phrase. We're not going to get into the deep state of SEO. We're going to leave that 20% out there. I'm going to focus on the 80% of the stuff that's easy for anyone to understand and things that they should be doing right now. And it comes down to content. And we're going to talk about how do we get to that content. But why are we here? To grow revenue. 70% of the people look up a dispensary online to check it out before they become a visitor. So that's important. The vast majority of consumers, they look to Google before they make a buying decision. We're going to talk about local SEO versus national SEO. So think of this in terms of if I'm going to do a SEO campaign for a local dispensary, I'm looking to optimize and rank for cannabis dispensary in San Mateo, or Boston, Massachusetts. I'm not a national brand where I need to get my word out. I need to rank across the country for my brand. Local SEO is also about optimizing your Google My Business listing and having those citations, starting with a Google My Business listing, which helps with SEO. You want to maximize, optimize your Google My Business listing, but that's part of local SEO. Again, with national SEO, we're generating traffic from people all over the world for our brand. So we're going to put up content that's not geo-specific. So here, back to what you were explaining what SEO means, search engine optimization. And that's the problem with SEO. It started early on with that acronym, and it's just wrong. We're not optimizing the search engines, right?
Right.
We're optimizing websites. So it's website optimization. That's the goal. So if you see here on the right, this is, the search results page. We're looking to optimize our website so that it shows up in any of these organic listings. You'll see this page has no paid ads. So all of these are organic listings other than this answer. People also ask box here. So you have all of these organic listings, and the goal is to be on page 1 for whatever search term or product or service that you offer. So 4 words that will change your life. Okay, this is no matter what website you have, but especially now, with cannabis, there's so much content you can be putting out there. Educational content, CBD, a lot of educational content around CBD because it's a much more popular product and people have questions about CBD. Can I give CBD on pets? Do I take CBD for, sleep, to help with sleep, pain, anxiety, whatever. So the 4 words, they ask, you answer, all right? Simply put, if someone is typing in a search in Google about a product or a service that you provide, then you best put up a page of content answering that question. They have a question, you know the answer, put it up there, because that's when Google sees that you have this content on your site and it's tagged properly. Okay, I'm not going to get too much into meta tags and what you have to do on the back end of your website. If everyone just focuses on putting up content and then bring in an SEO pro to fix it, optimize their tags and all of that stuff. You want to put tags on your images also with those important keywords, which we're going to talk about in a second. But put up the content, answer the questions that are out there, and you are 80% of the way there to an SEO home run and to ranking on page 1. All right. Now, also an important part of this is figuring out what content. So that's
no. I'm going to actually interrupt you. Not just what content, okay,
Yep.
but what form? Is it audio? Is it video? Is it audio and video? Or is it text?
Yeah.
And because search engines, I believe, they don't actually hear the videos or the audios. They need to read the text. Isn't that
Right.
accurate?
Yeah, and that's why you'll see a lot of blog posts that have a video. Like if you embed, and we were talking about this the other day, let's say you do a video and you upload it to Vimeo or YouTube. Now you want that in your blog post. So you just take that snippet of code, you embed that video so it shows up in your blog post. Smart marketers will then get a transcript. They'll spend the 20 or 30 bucks to get a transcript produced of the words that are spoken in that audio or video. So that's important. And then not only that, you also, we're starting with the tips here. So hope people are writing stuff down. Here's your tip. When you put text on your page, link, if there's something on your website somewhere else, and you have a word in your text that refers to that page of content, that's called an internal link. So make sure you link from one page to another. Google likes to see internal links going back and forth. So you want to see like 2 or 3 internal links on your page. Not a bad idea to also link out to a third party's website. That shows you're a good citizen of the web. Google respects that as well. There are 200 variables in the Google algorithm, and that algorithm changes almost every day. They're going to tweak it one way or another. But 200 variables, they won't tell us which are the most important, but we know, for instance, like the meta title of a page is important. The headline, the meta headlines, the H1 tags are important. All the image tags are important, things like that. But those internal links are important. Links to outward are important. And half of our job with SEO, when I'm working with a client, is making sure we're getting external links. That means links from third-party websites coming into our websites. So that's an important.
Is there a ratio of internal to external? Is it 50-50? Is it more internal than external?
Well, try to get many more external is the answer to that, right? You can't flood your page with a lot of internal links, but you certainly can ask for 1 billion links out there to your website. How do you get that? By producing content and then publishing a post in social media. So you want to be publishing, posting in all of your social media platforms, a LinkedIn business page, a Facebook business page, Instagram, Twitter account, Google My Business listing. You need to, once you put up a blog post, you have all that good content, you're doing all this linking stuff, go out, tell the world you did it through social media. You never know who's going to see that reference in social media and say, oh, I'm going to link to this because this is a good resource, right? CBD for dogs. I'm just writing an article about this. I'm going to link to him. Those are the very valuable links. And that's why I say we spend half of our time in SEO getting those external links to your website. Very important. So how do we get on page 1 of Google? First, through keyword research, which we're going to look at in a second. Publishing content, like I just was talking about. Promoting via social media. Building trust. Trust, again, meaning that you are the authority in this space on this topic, okay? In your case, Jimmy, cannabis news media, whatever people are searching for, cannabis regulations. If this is stuff you're covering on your website, you want to make sure you have pages for each one of these things and they're tagged properly. Preferably they got a good piece of video on them, and et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, trust. When we talk about trust, we're talking about building authority. Google will reward those websites that are putting up a lot of content and showing that they are a trustworthy figure. How do they know that you're trustworthy? Because people are linking to you. When they see other people are linking to you, that's a big signal. They're saying, oh, these guys have the answer. Now, if someone types in CBD retailers near me or whatever, and people are linking to you, if everything is equal between two sites and you've got all the links coming in, they're going to put that site that has the links on page 1 over the other site that's not doing a good job of optimizing for SEO.
Now, I want to ask a question about Google Ads for a second, because when you ask that question,
Hey, Jimmy, I was only paid to talk about SEO today. I will not get into paid ad. Go on. I'm sorry.
It has to do with page 1. Okay.
Yes.
When I go to page 1, half that page are paid ads. It's ad. And then like 3/4 of the way down, you find the answer to what you had asked.
Right. Very good question, because when we do keyword research, we often look to see how busy is page 1 with not only paid ads, but maps and service packs and these answer packs that Google throws in there. So sometimes we will forego trying to rank for a certain term, like legalized weed. Let's just say we wanted to put up an article about that.
Yep.
And we saw that on that page, there are a lot of paid ads. There's a map, there's an image carousel, there's all this stuff going on, all of these universal elements, Google used to call them. And it pushes the first organic link is now below the fold. When I say below the fold, below my screen, I have to scroll down, and now I see the first organic link. Well, I'd rather try to rank for a term like legalization of weed in, again, Massachusetts, or you could do it by location or for a specific product name, let's say, right? There are these long tail keywords rather than that generic broad keyword where you would want to compete, where you have a chance of competing, or again, showing up closer to the top of page 1. And that's really the goal. So again, sometimes if we see a lot of those other elements, paid elements on page 1, we just skip it and say, let's find another keyword to rank for. Because even if that keyword that you wanted to rank for gets 100,000 searches a month, but the one you've settled on is 10,000 searches a month, you're probably in a better position to rank for the one that has 10,000 searches per month, and do that several times, because then you at least know you're going to get clicks through your site. Whereas if you're at the bottom of page 1, or if you're on page 2 or 3 for those very competitive keywords, no one's clicking on you. You know, you're going to get a very small percentage. So you would get more clicks by going after those search terms that have, those search terms that have lower search volume.
And I'll tell you, it's interesting you're mentioning this, because even though we are recording this interview and we'll be repurposing it over the next few weeks, our live show on Friday, January 8th is going to be focused on what's the difference between legalization versus decriminalization. And while you've actually mentioned legalization about 5 times in the last minute or so when you've been talking, the word decriminalization has not shown up in our conversation. So I wonder which of those would be trending better?
We can find out in a second, but also in the tools that I list here, Google Trends is a good place to go find that out. You can see exactly which term is trending more. In fact,
look at that.
I don't want to disrupt right now, but anyone could go to Google Trends and see exactly which one of those terms is trending. And sometimes we use that as a signal as to what content we should be putting up.
I got to tell you, I'm looking at all this Uber suggest. Thank God Google's out there, because beyond that, I don't think I've heard of any of these tools, which obviously is why I do what I do and why I bring in people like you to teach me about these things. So,
all right. So, and this is just a small sample of the tools out. These are the ones I use. Okay. So these are free ones, LSI Graph, LSI Graph, Uber Suggest, Google Trends, Answer the Public. I think that's still free. Then the ones that you really need to pay for to get the deep results: Moz, SpyFu, Ahrefs, SEM Rush, that stands for Search Engine Marketing. They have a great. I'd say Ahrefs has the best keyword search tool. Let's just take a look. This is.
We're back.
Here we go. I don't want to dizzy anybody, but this is, just typing in for the term cannabis dispensary, right? Cannabis dispensary, which terms are getting the most searches? So 18,000 searches a month for cannabis dispensary near me, okay? Cannabis dispensary just on its own, 14,000, but then medical cannabis dispensary, 600. Here's a perfect example where if you're trying to go up against like a Curaleaf or any of the big MSOs, they might already have a lot of content and they're optimizing for cannabis dispensary near me. You may have like a medical cannabis dispensary, and it looks like, okay, there's only 600 searches there a month, but if there aren't many competitors there, then put up content around that. Now, in this case, this column here shows keyword difficulty. So that is a high keyword difficulty. So I'm going to go down to something more like this Essence Cannabis Dispensary. That's a brand. That's probably a store brand. Low competition there, a decent number of searches. Doesn't mean if you have a dispensary, you can't put up a page talking about Essence, but then highlighting your store as why it's excellent, or saying, yeah, you're searching for Essence, but it's not in our area, but I am. So, this is like, it's kind of like bait and switch, but it's fair. People are doing a search. They see, is there an Essence dispensary near me? Okay, I'm going to click on this link. So it turns out I'm not at the Essence website, but that's okay. They're telling me that there's no Essence near me. So that would be one way. But this is like also, if you have stores, if you're an MSO, Cannabis Dispensary Colorado has more searches than, say, Cannabis Dispensary to Seattle, which is interesting. But that would just mean, put up a lot of content first on Colorado before you start going down the list to Seattle. Now, again, this is Ahrefs. This is a powerhouse enterprise product that I pay for. But the Uber Suggest, also a great tool, free. So if I type in, what did I type in? Cannabis dispensary here. It's going to give me some data. It's really relative data. It's not like these numbers aren't exact, but it shows me what people are searching for, right? So this is when you're doing keyword research. cannabis dispensary, Bozeman. I have a friend who just moved to Bozeman. That's interesting. That's in Montana.
Yes,
How to open a cannabis dispensary in Illinois. This could be a great article to write up. People are looking for information. So you might as well draw them in. Any way you can get people who are in this space to find you is a win. And content. If you have a website, try to commit to 1 to 2 pieces of decent articles a week. Yep. And it doesn't mean you have to spend an hour writing them. You could spend 20 minutes, get 2 blogs done, but based on, again, these searches here. LSI Graph is probably one of my favorite free tools out there. So in this case, I was typing for CBD. So what do we see? A lot of people searching for CBD oil, 500,000. CBD near me. Again, this is the local, you're optimizing for local SEO here. 165, CBD oil near me, CBD benefits. That's a big topic. There are many ways you can phrase this. CBD benefits,
without claiming that you can cure cancer or cure COVID or cure any virus. That's really important because we know the FDA actually has come down on a few companies out there that have those claims out in their Google world, in their search world, on their internet site, whatever, and they come down on them for that. Yeah.
So now look at this, where to buy CBD oil, and again, these numbers aren't like scientifically exact, but they're good. They inform, where to go, like they're relative to each other and they give you a good indication. So where to buy CBD oil, 14,000, that's a lot of searches. But, if you put it into your region, your location, Boston, let's say, much fewer searches, but a direct hit. That's exactly what you want. So put up content. Someone's asking this exact question. Use that phrase in your content. Where to buy CBD oil in Boston. Okay. So that's just a real quick overview of keyword research. I literally would spend an hour for any client to do that so that we get a real exact, a real good view of the keywords that they should zero in on. Some other tools to look at include, one sec. Oh,
I like this one.
This here?
Yeah.
So what's the difference between local and SEO? We kind of talked about this. If it's nationwide, you're going to rank for that broad keyword. If it's a local business, it's the keyword plus the geo, all right, or the area.
It's interesting. When you talk about businesses, most businesses, they're either a service business or they have a product, right? And that's pretty much, and I wonder, are the strategies the same for services versus products? Or does it matter? It's still web traffic, it's still eyeballs, it's still interested people asking the question, so you still have to tell them how to find it or how to find you.
Right. It is very similar. The only difference, like when you're talking about, like, say, local service providers, like say a home service provider, then you're really focusing on local SEO, and the Google My Business listing is super critical, making sure you have that filled out. And that you're getting reviews. You want to drive people to their Google page and to their Facebook business page to post reviews. That's really essential in services on the local level. Just one other thing on, if you have a WordPress site, you definitely want to get this SEO plugin called Yoast. You also want to make sure you have Google Analytics set up. This may be obvious to most people.
Now, is that plugin, hang on a second, nothing's obvious to me. Is that plugin specifically for WordPress? And
yes.
Are there other plugins out there for other websites that have, other?
No, other platforms, like whether you're talking about, like, say, Wix or Weebly or Squarespace, they have their own, like, SEO kind of built in, but the Yoast plugin is a little more robust. Okay. And since it's done, it's created by a developer, like, WordPress exists because there are tens of thousands of developers creating all sorts of stuff for WordPress. So this guy's been around forever, and he's got, like, the Rolls Royce of SEO plugins.
Is it Mr. Yoast by any chance?
His name is Joost. He's, I think, he's from one of the Scandinavian countries. Norway. I think he's from Norway.
Do you remember Ned Yost of the Mets?
Eddie Yost.
Eddie Yost, right?
Third base coach.
There you go. I knew there was a Yost sports reference.
Yeah. Anyway, if you on your website, you should definitely have Google Analytics, obviously, set up a Google Search Console. Schema app. Now, I said I wasn't going to talk about technical stuff. Schema.org or structured data markup is kind of technical, and it's just another way to signal to Google what's on your page. So like meta tags, just consider this a step up. So I just point people to this. I love this company and what they do. Martha is wonderful. She has a thing called schemaapp.com. And if you just go there, you can get schema structured data markup put on your site relatively easily. And it really helps. So building trust
already.
What's that?
My brain hurts already with all these different technology things and tracking devices and search devices. Go ahead, keep going.
Yeah. No need to, if your brain ever hurts, that means you don't have the right number of people helping you out. It's like, know what you're strong at and make sure you hand off stuff to the people who are experts in various fields.
Working on that.
Talking about trust and authority, how many other sites on the internet link back? We talked about this. This is really important, getting not only links from other sites, but high quality sites. So, going to like, MJ BizCon or something, or, a Cannabis related site that's got a good amount of traffic. Getting a link from them is really, really good rather than just a small blog, let's say. And it helps, Google put you higher up on page one. One other keyword tool I forgot to mention, people also ask. And that's just when you're in Google and you do a search, you see this box here. So if I typed in craft beer, which I did in this case, it also said, people also ask, what's considered a craft beer? What's the difference between craft beer and regular beer? There you go. Put up content about this stuff. Whatever craft beer you have, these should be blog pages on your site. Of course, you can customize them a little bit. How do you make your blank craft beer? You could put your brand in here. But the point is, this is a good, very free keyword research tool.
Interesting. Now, I've seen that and I never understood it. So that I've already learned quite a few things today.
Yeah. Backlinks, again, very important to get these backlinks from high domain authority websites. Guest posting on some sites. If you can get somebody to let you to post something like I will do on your site, I'll post something on your site about marketing for the cannabis business. When you link back to me, I will be like drinking champagne that night because that's a very valuable backlink. Thank you very much in advance.
Gotcha. No problem. Happy to, whatever helps you out to drink a little bit more is always something I'm positive about.
And it's Friday. We're almost near.
Friday. That's right. We are recording this on a Friday. Exactly.
We talked about this last time.
It's 4:20 somewhere, Mike. It's 4:20 somewhere, right?
In about an hour. So we talked about this the last time, this customer journey. We did this cannabis customer journey. I just put this slide here again, just to show where we are in terms of SEO. So SEO is under this green findability section. Everything's important here. People becoming aware of you through paid advertising or email or whatever. That green section, can they find you in search? Can they find you on maps if you're a local business? Then everything else after that is very important. Reputation, getting reviews, your website, making sure it converts people, meaning converts them to give you their email address. Even if they're not going to buy something, give them something to download of value right on your homepage so that you start collecting email addresses so then you can, remarket to them down the road.
Gotcha.
Conclusion, how are we on time? Dan, what are we doing?
You're right. We're within the next 3 minutes. We wrap up. Everybody goes home happy. How's that?
All right, great. Conclusion, create unique content and lots of it. Use content relevant keywords, again, based on that keyword research that someone did for you. Create internal links. Again, you put up a blog post, link to other pages in your website. Know your competition. I say it's not who you think because people say, oh, it's that big brand. No, the competition is whoever's on page one ahead of you. Or if you're on page two, anyone on page one for a keyword, for a search term that you want traffic for, everyone on page one is your competition. That's who you're going after. So look at what they're doing and then do it better. If they have 100 pages of content, put up 110. If they have 50 backlinks, get 55. that kind of thing.
Interesting.
And then you use, run a keyword gap analysis. This is a whole nother session we could do. And this is really enlightening. We should do this. I'm serious. Because
well, maybe it'll be next week's talk or whatever. These are we have to reach 100, Mike. So we got, 90 plus to go. We've got plenty to talk about.
That one we're going to do because it's great because you look at your competitor, like those sites on page 1, look at all the keywords that they're ranking for, which we can find very easily, right? Look at.
You can find them.
Whichever keywords, well, no, anyone can with these tools. You just run a simple SEO audit and it says, oh, here are all the keywords they're ranking for. And these are free tools will give you a lot of this information. So you see 50 words that they're ranking for that you're not ranking for. That's a gap. That gap analysis, that's what says go out and put up content on your site because they're ranking for it. You're not. You have the same product. What the hell are you doing? So get content. Now, that's a keyword gap analysis. Use unique meta titles for every page, meaning, you have your home page, your about page, whatever page. Make sure you have like the keyword in each one of those meta titles on all those pages, but make them different for each page. One page you may want to rank for cannabis news. One you may want to rank for cannabis decriminalization. That's what you put in the metadata, meta tags.
Interesting. Wow.
A few more things. I think one more slide. Make sure your site is secure. Talk to your web developer or hosting company and make sure it's HTTPS. This comes pretty de rigueur right now for most sites. Sign up for Google Analytics, Google Search Console. Make sure your site is optimized for mobile. Make sure it looks good on mobile, that it's mobile responsive. A lot of the current WordPress themes and if you're going on Squarespace and sites like that, they are already doing that. But if you have an older site, just make sure you got that going. Create a Google My Business listing. So important. Business.google.com for everyone, local or national brands.
Fantastic. Look at that. And that's how you get to find this guy. So what a great way to wrap it up too, Mike. It's Mike Corso at roov.io or roov.io. That's where you will find Mike Corso. And that's where you can get to him for more enlightening information.
I do a free consultation for everybody. So if anyone comes to that site, they can click on the button, make an appointment on my calendar. Free 20 minutes, anytime.
There you go. And that's Mike Corso, not Mike Ruvio. It's Mike Corso at Ruvio. And this, of course, has been another edition of In the Weeds with Jimmy Young. Now, remember, everybody, once again, I'm going to debut something here, okay? Every show that I've done over the last few years, I always have this closing line, the closing line. Mike, do you remember what my closing line is by any chance?
Oh, man, it's in the back of my head.
It's a whole new world of weed, and check it out. There it is, right there with a graphic on it. And we'll be selling these t-shirts soon. So everybody, for everybody here at Pro Cannabis Media, for Dan French, who directed this, for Mike Corso, who continues to share this wealth of knowledge for the industry. So appreciate it. I'm Jimmy Young. We'll talk to you next time on In the Weeds. We Talk Now, We Talk News, and In the Weeds are all available on most major podcast distributors like iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and our friends at clnsmedia.com and our flagship, cannabis.net. So subscribe, share, and like our videos on all the social media networks out there, including LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, the WeedTube, and YouTube. Weed Talk and In the Weeds are two productions of Pro Cannabis Media supported by Revolutionary Clinics, one of the top medical cannabis dispensaries in the Massachusetts area, now with 3 locations in Greater Boston, 2 in Cambridge, and 1 on Broadway in Somerville. Rev Clinics has a patient-first mission. They will customize your needs as a medical patient with the proper titration and combination of strains, flavors, and products. Rev Clinics, where the patient comes first.
Cannabis Media.